Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, February 25th, 2022, Friday, 3:50 a.m. नमस्कार, मैं सूरज सिंह सिविल इंजीनियर भारत इंडिया से रहा हूँ। आज दिनांक 25 फरवरी 2022 सुबह के 3:51 और 52 and presenting to you continuation of this talk of episode quality and coordination. Quality and coordination is a very important issue in every walk of life. And first of all, this is my email ID, my name and my registrations. Chartered Engineer India and Professional Engineer, International Professional Engineer under IPEA agreement, and Chartered Engineer India under Royal Charter of Institution of Engineers India. Suraj_engineer at yahoo.co.uk, again SURAJ, Suraj_engineer at yahoo.co.uk, my email ID. And this is my certification of INTPE India, International Professional Engineer India. This is my Chartered Engineer certificate issued by Institution of Engineers India by virtue of qualification, professional training and corporate membership, which is FIE, as indicated here on this FIE, Fellow of Institution of Engineers India, and here is Fellow certification, certificate of Fellow membership of Institution of Engineers India. And now this is my file, which announces a lot, speaks a lot. It's a speak itself is very important, and it's connected to coordination engineering. Both files are same, only because I started coordination after thinking a lot that just quality cannot be explained to people if you don't know coordination meaning, and that's an important point. And I'm now closing Chartered Engineer certificate, and I'm closing Fellow 5, and then this is IP is still there, name is still there, quality is still there, and coordination is still there. I'm talking of quality, Gunavatta in Hindi, and that's I'm speaking on behalf of this country. So sometime I use Hindi words also for you to understand, and that's very important one. And title of talk, as you know, is Quality Projects Works. Quality projects works means all works quality. I'm talking of in each and every respect, and of course it is strung to coordination word. I'm saying it's strung and it's kind of a thread or string. It's quality and coordination word, thread or string, which further extends itself in further sequence to communication network, which covers every aspect of life, electronically or otherwise, and concrete material and concrete state both. You may ask, what is concrete material, what is concrete state? Concrete material is physical material that is used in construction, that is used somewhere else, which has many ingredients. And those ingredients are stone chips or stone aggregate, sand or dust or fine aggregate, you can say, and cement or cementing material, water, etc., which produce concrete, and also state of concrete, which is not material but you can say status of something, which we can say is solid or reliable, which is not liquid. Something say, oh, you're doing very concrete work, means your work is having some solidity. It's not flexible, I mean not that level that we can just bend it, or it can be bent, not like that. It's in solid state of physical being, or effect, you can say. Effect is also considered here, not only material but material effect. And then we go to civil and field and engineering, which means for people of this country and people otherwise everywhere, and field in whatever field they work, and whatever way engineering is related to that, because there is no field today that is not related to engineering, is directly or indirectly related to engineering world, whatever field you can take. Even if you use your WC or water closet of bathroom, or you use ordinary footpath, every item has every connection with engineering. Even you go to toilet and use it, you urinate, it has got some connection to environment engineering. Your WC has got connection to environment engineering. And you can say everywhere your kitchen waste, your scratch, your scrap, your, you can say whatever system you adopt, rainwater, everywhere something has got relation to engineering, your food, agriculture engineering. Same way you can count yourself, even you can say when you do nothing, you're born, you're directly connected to room where you're born. I think there is no place in life. And your status in engineering itself is linked to social engineering in the society as a whole, which uses engineering, and sometimes engineering is not physical engineering itself, it's engineering in terms of verb. We say engineer is a verb also. It's called engineering as a profession. But engineer is a verb also. We say you engineer it. You engineer it, we say. So we can say engineering can be considered in different you can say forms, but it should be reliable. That's what I say, reliable engineers or reliable engineering, which everybody has to think and then understand. Engineering is a kind of term which can be molded to required shape, required dimensions. It's not medical engineering that cannot be molded. Medical engineering is standard one, and that has no flexibility requirement, but engineering is very solid and very flexible, you can say it that way. You have to understand concrete material and concrete state. We sometimes, just like we say, every nation is called economy. In terms of economy, it's we call this economy. So we can say every metal can be defined as engineering state, what type of engineering it has been gone through. It has been passed through. That's we say works and contracts, we say then. And because we have to use engineers, we have to engage engineers in engineering profession as well as those engineers must also be of same competency, which we can say reliable engineers. Or engineers those can be trusted from viewpoint of safety, from viewpoint of serviceability, and from viewpoint of durability, and also from whatever remaining viewpoint you can say, depending on what type of profession it is and what sort of structure we are talking about. And we can say then contracts come into picture, because engineering cannot be done without contracts. Contracts of whatever kind. When you buy some material, there's a contract of sales. You can someone sells, one person sells, and other person buys. You are a buyer, you are a contracts user, you are a contract. You're buying means you are buying some material. When you buy something means it has something, you have paid something. This means you must get some quality in return, some quantity in return. Quality and quantity both you get in return. That's why it's called a contract. You cannot just say I bought this equipment and it's finished. No relation with that employer who gave you this material in exchange of some consideration. That's called money and contract money. So we can say everyday contracts are executed, though these are not signed by everyone. It's not vegetable, or it's not, you can say, your flour or wheat grains. It's something different. You have to use that item you buy, and that item has to perform for purpose you buy it. And that's very important point we have to think of. Contract works. And then we can say safety, which is a part of execution as well as a part everywhere. Without safety we cannot live. And safety means a part of safety, health and environment. Safety cannot be defined otherwise if you don't consider health. And health cannot be defined if you don't consider your environment. It's an important point to understand here. We should say that we have to do surgery of our ideas, because ideas is engineering. And if you think we can do a lot. Thinking is basic qualification, or you can say basic criteria in engineering. And we can say safety, health and environment, which is part of engineering, environment engineering, works engineering, service engineering, and of course designs are related to it. Designs means total engineering, imaginary engineering, which is brought onto some paper or directly on physical work. And this process is called construction engineering, and construction methods are involved. People think on site it is construction. I would say every part of these, you can say quality, coordination, communication, and all these points are considered in construction. Construction cannot be done otherwise. So I cannot take construction isolation. It's an end part of this string. I have written here complete string. This we start for project. Let us say we consider quality of project. Then we consider various classes of coordinations, various, you can say, stages of coordination, you can say otherwise. And this based on communication network, and we have to bring concrete results for whatever field engineering, design engineering, safety, works contracts, all are involved in that. And ultimate result is contracts and construction. And construction is done with certain methods, and then we can say when construction is done in contracts or otherwise, we have certain problems. We have certain claims of direct payment, which we can say called contract payment. When contract is done, work is done, someone is paid. If contractor is paid or otherwise suppliers are paid, someone is paid. So you can call this normal payments or some claims against works, and also we can call extra claims. And this means organizations are involved for all this process, and total functioning of that organizations must be quality, not work quality but functioning quality. And that's what meaning of this title is. I have analyzed this title for your understanding, because somebody may ask every time, what every day you write this? It's nothing but total quality. It is quality of life. It is, because everyone is involved in this. So there's now no section of society which is left out of this consideration. This string of title contains everything, and that's why I say we speak means Bharat India speaks. I am an integrated part of Bharat India because of law, because of my geographical consideration, and though I am part of this world, but my liberty allows me to talk of Bharat India because I belong to this country by law. Though I belong to whole world by law, I cannot have any control otherwise. But as far as quality is concerned and coordination is concerned, I can think of Bharat India, my country, and I have my duty, I owe my duty to let everyone understand why I am so serious about quality, and why you should also be serious. You should also move on the same track of quality performance, quality thinking, quality moving, and quality of product, quality of life itself. Quality of life depends on all these factors. It's not simply work quality or material quality. It's quality of thinking, it's quality of doing, it's quality of moving, it's quality of development, it's quality of state, it's quality of nation. And on top of everything, quality of personality of individual. And personality doesn't mean dressing or face work. Personality means performance. How do you act in life? How do you work in life? How do you conduct in life? And how do you understand about lifestyle? That is use of life, not enjoying life, but to give results to world. Life means you have a duty towards world, you have a duty towards nature, and you have a duty towards yourself to keep yourself in good conditions of quality. And means you should sleep but not full time. You should sleep part time, and that part time means you should sleep mentally. No, you should sleep physically only. Mentally you cannot sleep. If you sleep mentally, you cannot do any quality, you cannot achieve any quality. And that's where I say sometimes I use unnecessary sentences, but these are necessary for you to understand in common language. I cannot speak all time professional language because people cannot understand major part of that talk. So I use very ordinary phrases many times because phrases are known to everybody, directly or indirectly, you can say. And I cannot work in my profession or in my life without quality and without coordination, because life requires all these. If I know schedule, if I don't adopt any system, I cannot decide, I cannot find any destination. When you travel somewhere, you have one original point or point of origin, and one is destination point, which you call where you have to go. If you don't decide that, it means you cannot travel, or if you travel without deciding that, means you do not know what you are doing. So we must know about those destinations and about those original requirements or original start. So we start from where, that we have to decide. But journey continues even if you don't board any vehicle. You have to walk on road or on footpath, and that too is a journey, a kind of journey. Or otherwise, if you don't walk also, there's a mind journey which you cannot stop at least. Individual has got no power to stop thinking, because thinking is natural, it is God's control. Even if you sleep, your mind keeps thinking, and it's very important to understand. So I can phrase out that quality is my friend, coordination is my friend, and when quality and coordination are my friend, this means product and communication is my friend. I can communicate to myself and I can communicate to everybody else. And then we continue to coordinate and qualify work in every life field. So I can say this way, let's be true to ourselves, let's be true to ourselves, and let's be true to system of Bharat India. That is very important part here. Quality and coordination, though it applies to all countries in full form, many countries comply with quality while others don't. I say partly they may comply, partly they may not comply. And to be very frank, confidence level is down everywhere as far as quality is concerned, because people look quality in packing, not in inside. Packing quality is attractive, but reality is not attractive. World is busy in profit making, they are busy in economics, they are busy in weapon manufacturing, they are busy in those areas which are in fact destructive. If you think our quality comes from weapon making, I think this is destruction quality. We have to think of construction quality, which is very difficult to achieve. Construction stands for long term, while destruction stands for nowhere. Destruction means next moment you do not know what has happened, something exists or something has been destroyed. That's why we can say lot is required for quality, lot is required for development, a lot is required for construction. And construction doesn't mean building construction or structural construction, construction of every aspect of life, buildability of every aspect of life. And that's why I say I cannot leave my thinking, I cannot leave my quality aspect. I have to move on that because it's very important. And to an extent, one engineer is concerned. When we say it is engineer who is responsible, this also means that engineer has capability to handle quality and coordination successfully. And engineer means engineer by title. I am saying those who have got engineering qualifications and those who have been working in engineering. I am telling combination of this, because only engineer being is not enough. One has to work in engineering profession or field, only then one can be named engineer, and that engineer has a duty to understand and comply with, abide by quality requirement, which means that engineer should know about how to do coordination work, or how to conduct coordination activities, as well as how to conduct communications, because without communication, interactions are not possible, intertransmission is not possible, and which is a requirement even to find some information, because you may be engineer but every information is not available with every engineer. Depending on requirement, we search out or we open some book to know what should be done. And that point, until we do not know, we can't apply, because engineering profession is having no we can say closer boundaries. There is no boundary in any engineering branch or any engineering subject. Therefore, information is not complete. It is, you can say, expanding and expanding. It always expands. We walk on and it goes on expanding. We walk on and it goes on expanding. Therefore, what I say, we require to establish quality and coordination permanently in our profession, engineering profession, and also other walks of life. And that we can say, we can call it, we have active quality we should have in performing applications in safety, health and environment, in, you can say, where else you can say, can be called quality engineering and coordination engineering. I consider both as my spiritual path. If I have quality in engineering, I feel happy, pleasant, and if I do coordination engineering, of course, when you do quality engineering, you are already connected to some coordination world and communication world. Otherwise, it's not only small item. Engineering involves many sections, many status of communication, many status of quality, many status of coordinations. Only then we can get something, irrespective of whether it is civil construction or it is manufacturing unit or processing plant, whatever it is. It's very important that every procedure, every continuity, every working must be based on quality goals, or you can say there is no other way we can define about. As far as our country is concerned, I can say fixed quality in Bharat, India, come what may. That is my you can say limit. Come what may, we have to fix quality in Bharat, India, and we can do it. There is no problem, but I do not know why it's not being done. And there is no competition in quality. In fact, there is competition in prices, there is competition in quantity production, there is competition in non-required areas, but there is exists no competition in quality. Everybody wants to sell product, and people buy those products which are not very expensive. This means quality factor is kept back, so far back, so reared back, that we cannot think of that even. That's why quality part of materials, quality parts of product has died. In fact, you are attracted towards lesser prices, or your packings, or you think it decorates me rather than it makes me stronger. Decoration is not helpful, strength is helpful, or you can say architecture is not helpful, structure is helpful. You can clearly say that, because structure gives you life and architecture gives you cosmetic beauty. And cosmetic beauty is not enough. And we are dependent on works, every work, whatever work it is. And work must have certain quality input, and this cannot be compromised, but it is unfortunate that it is compromised. And compromising is not acceptable. And we can say if we compromise, we do not get concrete quality, we get fragile, existing quality. And that's why we say if you don't have quality, your system, even though it is quality system, it's not concrete quality system. It is, you cannot say it is good system, it's not durable system. That point we have to understand. And therefore we should condemn if system is fragile, we have to convert it to a strong system. That's why I say that quality system may fail, but works quality must perform. We have to concentrate on works quality rather than on quality system. Though if we fly on quality system properly, we can land with quality product. That is basic requirement of system. Otherwise, there is no meaning of system at all. So if I can measure system through quality standard of product, if I don't find product based on quality achievement, system has no meaning. Even though we have very good book on that system, we can say this is very strong system. But product says no, it is not a strong system, it is useless system, or I can say breakable system. That's why I say fragile. Because it doesn't happen in majority works, that's why scenario is different. And as an engineer, as a common person, we have to think, I have to think, and these quality considerations preliminaries are: you can ask yourself, where does quality exist? Answer, you will find it exists nowhere, and that answer should be general. Unsuccessful to find anywhere, unfortunately, my answer is that. Unsuccessful to find quality survival anywhere, it's unfortunate. And then question is then ultimately where does coordination exist? Because coordination is a part of quality itself for combination of many requirements. So I can say in that case I don't have any answer, and it is unknown conduct. So what is deliberation then? This means there are so many red lines. There are so many red lines which exist in our system of quality. We cannot achieve. This means there should be some green light also. There should be some amber light also. If we consider as a traffic flow, quality or production is a traffic flow, you can equate it to that one. This means we have to cross red line, and we can cross only that when we get green line. And green line shall come only when we alert ourselves. That alert is amber light. So these red lines existing there require to be resolved, and then only we can say, can we bring working environment to quality and coordination requirements, and if yes, how to do it? This means we have to find solutions, and that solution means we have to do a lot. We cannot simply answer just in smiles. We have to answer in declaration, perfect declaration, and how to achieve that declaration is a question mark here. Certain red lines that must be turned green, and that must be a must. We have to keep in mind, must be a must. And if you do not say, this means we have no determination. And this speaking must also doesn't mean that this is a phrasing. It's a requirement, must. I can use should also, but I don't think that's appropriate, because should means I don't want to give a chance to you. You have no right to take a chance when I say it's a must. You are left with no privilege except to do it. There can be no option but to do it. You can say it's like a mandate. Like a mandate, you have to do it. You have to procure, you have to pull red signal to green signal, and for that you have to do every act required. Can we know and apply quality standards complied with overseas? For example, in GCC countries or elsewhere, in buildings and on plant facilities, what is done? Can we do that? Can we work on coordination activities to achieve defined or expected quality profile on works? Why should we not revisit quality required specifications and update per what working standards requirements? Why should we not apply coordination requirement? Is it not a must? Reliable solution? Really, we have certainly worsening state of quality of works, and how to improve such mandated works quality to certain minimum required marks, at least to match with minimum international requirements. Should we not force ourselves to work on coordination in each activity, worsening state of quality of concrete, and how to improve such mandated quality to certain minimum required marks? Concrete component in constructions amounts to major percentage of cost, and therefore it becomes incumbent on us to care about quality of such component. It's of course out of common and professional understanding that why do we have no seriousness in this regard? Worsening state of communication and coordination during working for engineering, designs and executions or construction activities. Determined and dedicated role of engineers towards realizing these requirements, or else quality remains a myth. Can we do it, or we are incompetent, inconsistent societies and communities and engineering? Are we engineering force or incapable lot? When shall we awaken ourselves? Shall we transform existing engineering strength into standard quality working force? Who shall decide about all such questions that are being faced in current scenario? These are certain questions, and many more questions can be added to these general questions. Then we can start something. Let us say deliberate on this. Detailed deliberation must, and it is in connection, it's in link to coordination. So I'm just reading few and then we'll jump on to coordination. Information must be brought to those personnel who require it. First solution is that what is required in achieving quality, and requirement is information. Specific information that has to be applied on certain act, on certain activity. That information must be given to those, or must be provided to those, or it must be brought to those personnel who work on it, and because who require it, and only then they can work on it. And it must be given in right time, it must be delivered or provided in right time for right requirement, and quite rightly, duly coordinated. This means, just like we say there should be right person for right job, we usually say this in general life, though previously it was a part of management principle. But it's common sense also that if you engage right person, right job, and that person does it, provided that person does it, work can be done rightly. Or if that person does not do it, though that person is competent, in that sense we can say you cannot do, because performance is required. So what it says, information must be brought to those personnel, whoever work there, whatever level, that person has to do some job based on some information, and that information must be given to you. Oh, that person knows very well what's information. It depends upon what level the person is. In that case, because that person requires that information, it must be provided when it is required, exactly, or before that. So work can be done, it can be applied. Otherwise, if that time goes out and this information is not given, in that case, the work is done. This means it's defective work, it's deficient work. And that's a very important point. The right information should be provided at right time, or whenever it's required at that time. And it should be included in work, and it's implemented, you can say. So we can be sure that something would be done. And what happens then? Dissemination of engineering information about quality requirements and how to transform using method statements, and that's a very important point. Dissemination means you have to spread your information to those who require it. Dissemination means there is no limit, and you can provide information, you can deliver it to those or it can be put into system that people have got in, they can find in that system. Dissemination of engineering information about quality requirements and how to transform using method statement information is not enough. That information has to go into some definition of process, you can say definition of procedure. How shall we use this information? Because information cannot be used in isolation. That information requires some materials, requires some procedures, requires some personnel, or requires some technology. So all those must be covered in a statement, and that's we know is right method. And that method should be charted out in sequence and in correction, so that those who work there, they know. It's not only a statement we give to someone, okay, you apply that, but that person must read that. And we have to make sure that person knows what is written there. And without reading and understanding that, no one can apply that statement. How to concentrate on engineering information, that is how to concentrate on construction methods, decision making, resolution, to do right work for specified requirements. It's very good answer. If question comes in how to concentrate on construction methods, decision making, you have to concentrate on you do that one. You have to say what is specified. You should know what is specified because it is written or it's understood. You know it, that specification requirement, and we have to apply that specification requirement, and we can apply only when we know what are specifications. Methods can be designed, though I am calling it design. These are drawn, but it's a part of mind. It's an extract of mind, so you can say it's design also. Methods can be designed and drawn. I am using both, design and drawing. Methods can be designed and drawn, stated for designs, for execution, for carrying out activities, as well as for rectifications, remedial, and for services. Methods can be designed and drawn, stated for designs, for execution, for carrying out activities, as well as for rectifications, remedial, and for services. Methods means comprehensive methods and not selective ones. Means you have to do a lot work on methods to make them comprehensive. These can be picked up safely, just like it's in instruction. It should be not because you have to say something, but what is actually required. No work can be carried out, or no work be carried out without referring to method statements, or you can say it must be made a principle, or it must be made a system, and which must have input of, or which must contain SHE, that's safety, health and environment, and quality approach at every possible and convenient stage, or you can say they both must constitute in that system of communication on this method, or I say what we can say about what concrete, what of contracts for construction. Should engineers know thoroughly about contracts? That's also a question mark. What about contracts of construction, costs of construction? Because without contracts for construction, what happens? Should engineers know thoroughly about contracts, or they should learn? I think without knowing it, one cannot become an engineer. Without understanding knowledge of contracts, one cannot become an engineer. That's also a fact. But does engineer know it? I know engineers know subject, but do they know what are contracts and facts? Meaning of contracts, I'm not saying conditions of contract, I'm saying meaning of contract. What about contracts then? For designs, for procurement, and for construction, which contracts are those called? Do we know that? It's construction contracts, or design contract, or services contract, or it is EPC contract, or what? That also we have to understand, we have to pick up, as life starts. And should engineers know thoroughly, or they should have working knowledge? And we have to answer this question also. Then we say, do we recognize to design quality contract? Do we organize to design quality contract, or signals are down? This happens. Do we organize to design quality contract, or do we go per lines decided by others? That's also a big question. Means optional are, do we organize to design quality contract, or do we go per lines decided by others? What we have to do? Should we ignore power and impacts on works, quality, performance that contracts can attract, contracts can attack on designs and prosecution? Should we ignore power on impacts on works, quality, performance that contracts can attack on designs and prosecution? Do our engineers have interest in contract designs, drawings, activity, which always remains very complex, and certainly that impacts on contract performance and contract related disputes? These two questions, of course, are very significant. Again, I say, do we organize to design quality contract? Do we organize to design quality contract? It's very important part in engineering. Means, can we design quality contract? Quality contract, I am saying, not quality alone. This means it is big job to work out, to organize or to structure quality contract, because it has a requirement that you should put in sequence of engineering and sequence of applications of contracts, or we can say these contracts must be in line to engineering work, project work, or sequence. It should be in that line. Otherwise, there is no meaning of contract if it doesn't speak in same language as project speaks. So that's a question to ourselves. Are engineers having that competency or that capability that they can design contracts? Or we have just to copy and paste? That's another answer. People say, okay, copy and paste. And I call it not right way, because copy and paste can be done only when it is exactly similar work. Otherwise, we have to think on that. We should not create problem on our ways or own problem. And we cannot underestimate those parties who would take contract. Contractors, we can't underestimate them also, because they are contractors due to their knowledge in contract, their understanding in contract, that what benefit they can get from contract. And it's not their fault, it is their efficiency, I should say, if they know how to draw benefit, how to have privileges on that contract conditions, which may be contradictory or may not be even relevant. So that point also we have to concentrate on. And then what I say, should we ignore power and impact on works, quality, performance? Yes, contract can impact work quality, and it can also make it better, both ways. Depends on how we understand contract, how we design that contract, or you can say chart out sequence of that contract, and how we give elaborations of those conditions which must be given clearly, or you can say how do you consider those terms which should be given clearly in proper order and in proper organizational way. And then we must demonstrate that how can we use it, how can works performance be benefited because of contract conditions, and how attack on designs and prosecution is checked. And can it cause interest? Can it develop interest? I mean to say, can contract that we design develop interest, or you can say generate interest in engineers who handle it? Otherwise, it becomes a piece of paper only, and which does not help anything. If you say, okay, we will do our way, let contract say anything, it should not be that way. No, our engineers must develop interest in learning and in designing and in applying contract conditions and contract structure. And really, it's of course very complex, but complex or no complex, we have to do job. And of course, when contract exists, it is question of recognition of both liabilities and both works. We have to, because it is after all linked to money, otherwise there's no meaning at all. Interest must be developed, complexity must be known, and there must be certainty that work shall be performed. These conditions we provide are very strong or shall prove to be efficient for this purpose. Are our engineers, those interested in design activities, not inclined to involve with construction activities? And if not, what are valid reasons? This is also very compounding statement. What issue that engineers do not incline to work in coordination with coordination activities that impact on quality of designs and quality of construction. So here we can say interest in contracts, one point, then inclination towards contract and inclination toward quality, and coordination is another point. And then we can say what sort of design quality should give to contract, and on itself how does contract impact on quality and quality of construction. Then we say, should we respect project contracts or we should move without such contracts? That's another option, but contracts cannot be avoided. Even if you do work yourself, you are not manufacturer of, you have to buy products or materials, and that's what you say, contracts are required there itself. Should we respect project contracts or we should move without such contracts? What about major materials being concrete in structures? And what about major materials that are considered often permanently included in structures of buildings everywhere on all projects? I mean to say permanently means those ones included on works cannot be extracted back, cannot be taken out. So it is called permanently inclusion. It's not temporary and neither it is preparatory. It is permanent, for which payment is made to contractors. What about engineering materials being used in produce various standard parts, goods in manufacturing? That's also a point. What's provision by government? Now we stop here, we'll talk later on about that, but let's understand so far what we have done. How can we understand that in a proper way? And that can be done in what sequence, and then we have to go to coordination engineering, and that's where when you say fully is required, it means coordination engineering on projects and for public, and operatives are engineers. You may say it's very important that they have to start with, and we can say in Hindi also we can speak about this, and that's very important one. In Hindi also we can speak about that, about coordination engineering. It's not it's choice but requirement, and we call it Samanvay Abhiyantri in Hindi, and Samanvay means coordination, Tal-mel. What is required should be provided. What is required should be provided, and what is required should be listed before provision, and every requirement is fixed in appointment time, or you can say time when it is required on your project. That must be there. So we can say it can be called in that case on Yojanai and Abhinta and Sarvajan, at what are schemes of projects, what are engineers, and what are people? We can say these must be answered in world of engineering, and we have to confer on this. And that point is because we talk of quality, we talk coordination. Ultimately, quality is important, and missing coordination means missing good engineering. If we do not coordinate properly, we cannot do right connections to activities, or we can say clear concept is not available. Clear concept is called clear design of mobile, or clear thinking. If I don't have clear thinking, I may work along, but I have no surety of what I have worked. And that surety is very clearly required, explicitly required, and engineering works. Because we do not use product as reference, we use products for inclusion. So we must know what is character, what is quality of that product, how can benefit this project or someone else. He may be vendor, maybe supplier, maybe contractor, maybe subcontractor, maybe engineer, maybe whosoever. Whatever work is given to contractor, to do it and give it back and get payment for that. Is that only answer? I have to concentrate on that. Is written here, यदि समन्वय नहीं तो स्वच्छ अभियांत्रिक नहीं. If there exists no coordination, you cannot find good application of engineering. And next is संचार आवश्यक, समन्वय अभियंत्री हेतु. Communication is essential for purpose of coordination and engineering regards. Communication support for reliable coordination. Here I am not going to, you can say, just going to show, already we have shown, but we are going to confer now something on that, which is very important point. Last time we discussed with this house. I am not going to do it again because already you know what I mean. All we discussed will be again, with more details are available. And now it's just we are talking in general about something. You can say we have to think of that, and we do. Then we have to go to deliberations of this. I'm not concentrating on certain software, but we are concentrating here on real requirement in life. Real requirement. What you do is minute deliberations, and that's a very important point. We have to deliberate, means we have to liberate ourselves to reach a stage that we can liberate ourselves. Real deliberation it is. We have to come out of mix-up, we have to come out of darkness to know what is fact. That's called liberation. Deliberation we call it. And deliberation means we have to think of a lot. And also we can say another meaning of deliberation that we can understand. We have to understand deliberation and deliberation. On engineering we can say engineering coordination. Scholarly articles for delivery is one part, and then inductive deliberation, equilibrium core pledge, PDF technical coordination engineering practice. Technical coordination engineering practice, I think I have already visited this. Merging roles in coordination and agent deliberation. No, this is not identification of coordination factors affecting building projects. Identification of just to how coordination, continuous coordination with discussion, coordination language is this not very little is available here. Articles, what articles that we see, scholarly articles it says, what scholars say, Oh, it's a long list, no meaning of that. Inductive deliberations, no. PDF technical coordination, is already done. Coordination without discussion, that's that it says true, the communications among engineers is not considered needed. Let me see what it says. Coordination without discussion, is it possible? Coordination, this is science first education. This coordination without discussion, let us see what is that. Does give any helpful meaning. It's some pages and says coordination without discussion. This is PDF file, I think you can see that. You see that file, right? Is it? You can see that file, I'm sure, and it is coordination. That we can see it's coordination. Is it on Facebook? No, it's not there. So it's PDF. I think it should be there. How it's not there? Why it's not coming in this? Let me see. It should come in. Why it's not coming in? I mean, it's not. There's a problem with download. I'm sure. There's a problem with download here. It says. Anyway, it says. Let me see. How does it work? Coordination without discussion. Free open source software project. This is. Introduction is idea of social technical congruence. Idea of social. Let me download it. At least you should know what we are talking of. Let me download and then discuss on this. That is coordination, we can say. This is what is that? Coordination. It was that title is coordination with discussion, without discussion. Coordination without discussion. Let us see how does it work. Coordination without discussion. Why it's not saving? I don't know why it's not saving. What's the reason? Why it's not saving? My God, it's not saving. What to do then? Let me download this, right? There's some problem. Anyway, it's some problem I'm facing here. I can't do it, What's the reason? I don't know what's the reason behind that. Maybe it's not savable. That could be one reason. Let's move and talk of this. It's a paper actually. It's this idea of social technical congruence as a predictor. Idea of social technical congruence as a predictor of coordination success in software development, as in studies by Catalogger. It's powerful and timely, particularly in matrix comparison following. So it's actually, I think it's for software development. While perspective has been, leave it now. Let's go back, not waste time. Data and method it is given. So forget it. It's waste of time. I think there's no meaning at all with this. It's waste of time. So engineering for deliberate democracy. No, it's not. Integrate public deliberation to engineering system. Let us see what it is. Integrating public deliberation. It may be better to understand. Integrating public deliberation into engineering systems. What it says. Let's see what it says. Integrating public deliberation into engineering systems, participatory technology, assessment of NASA. So we discuss an experiment. It says about NASA. Let us see what it says. We discuss an experiment employing participatory technologies assessment (PTA) public deliberation method for eliciting lay citizen input prior to making decisions about science and technology to inform upstream engineering decisions concerning technical aspects of NASA's asteroid initiative in partnership with NASA. Expert and citizen assessment of science and technology network conducted, etc., etc. So it's also useless. Leave it. Well, we continue our way. That's why I say I try many times to know more about this from internet, but internet has not provided me that privilege. I can get more information about coordination or about, you can say, engineering issues where coordination is involved. And this is still, you can say, weakness in world, that coordination is not given value because of, I think it is due to computerization. It's because of, you can say, it is because of automation. Coordination has not been automated. It's a fact, because if one thinks that automatism would help and it solve all problems, well, I think that itself causes a problem. In fact, that's true. Software engineering is not that powerful which can change mind, which can force mind to think its way. We have to realize this fact, and that's why we have to deliberate ourselves, because we use natural materials in construction engineering, in civil engineering, or in buildings and structural engineering. It's not machine that is produced. In fact, though it's machine forever, it's super machine, not machine alone, because our structures are required to work for many decades to come. Not simple software which can be updated every week, and they say updated and updated. This means comprehensible use softwares are not available. Even if you use basics Windows, you can say there are so many deficiencies, so many defects, so many more requirements, but no problem. Whatever is being developed, but there is no parallel mind which is available. Mind is mind which has not been studied thoroughly, and therefore we have to discuss. You see, sometimes you do not know what you are thinking, but you think. It happens with everybody. Every person who is mind, I'm not talking of person who is not mind. A mind means a person who thinks a lot and uses a lot. An engineer is that person who has to think. Otherwise, it's very difficult. It's not only civil engineer, it's electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, other engineers who are involved in creating some product based on mental requirement, mental setup, based on mentally described specifications, and because of requirement, or you can say purpose of requirement of that product. That's why you can say deliberation is very important, that cannot be avoided. Even if we say we have to avoid it, that cannot be avoided, that has to affect, that has to accept responsibility, and that is in fact very responsible work, we can say. If we want to avoid it, there is no arrangement to avoid that. Avoiding is not possible. So mandate is always necessary, and that mandate is this: we have to do it. Just like a train cannot move without tracks. Traffic cannot move without tracks. Traffic may move without road, but that is not worth. That is not what we can say. It should be a smooth journey. It should be a smooth travel, or we cannot do it. We cannot perform it. And that point is really a requirement that we have to provide a smooth journey, comfortable journey. And I say development. Again, I come to point of civil engineering, structural engineering. We cannot develop for 6 months. We cannot develop for 6 months or for 6 days. Yes, for temporary work we can say, let us say there is a stage you have to construct for some rally, or for some drama, or for some, you can say, fair, you can develop. That is called temporary work, which may be used for months or for weeks. I'm not talking of that, though stability is required there as well. Otherwise, states can collapse. So, structure also applies there, but temporarily, not permanently. When talking of development, development doesn't mean temporary work. Development means lot of investment, of time, of money, quality, ideas, engineering, material properties, natural properties, properties inducted, formula, sciences, and you can say human resources. There is no end to it. A combination of technologies, a combinations of sources and resources, and therefore if there are so many factors which work together for production of whatever works, this means there should be so many input also. There should be so many considerations as well if we want to understand what we have to develop. And for that, it's not one person or 2 person, it's complete range of people depending on requirements, depending on our product objective, and therefore we have to be very considerate on that. And we can say that first we have to understand coordination itself, which many of us do not. Coordination is not, you can say it's a term. It's not a term. It's not a term, not all. It's not a term, it is a word, I can say. Coordination is a word that we have to realize. It's a full-fledged word. We cannot run away. We cannot say no. So much input, you can say so many tracks coming in, so many routes coming to one focus or one section which we can call station. For time being, we have to understand meaning of coordination. We have to understand meaning of communication, related communication, not divergent one, but focused one. We have to understand what is our objective. We have to also realize what amount of coordination is required and how efficient we should have systemized it. Otherwise, you see, just like we understand designs, how to do designs, it's also a kind of design. For example, we can say, let us make a list how many drawings are required on this project. That's also a job. You cannot say, I don't know. When we are experienced people, we know what is required and what's not required. Before doing drawings, we have to decide titles of drawing. And that's where we think we can demonstrate, we can provide details in elaborate way as well as in shortest ways to let people know who are going to work on them, would work on them, what is in store for them. This means we must have a competency We must have foreview, even to tell what titles we are going to draw on these drawings, what details we are going to work out, and those must be functional, not just schematic or artistic, because for sake of drawing we draw. No, this drawing is a product. All drawings are product. These are product which would be used for this purpose, and that should carry some meaning. Each drawing should give you output or information. Output, you may say information. If that drawing doesn't give information, how can we call it useful drawing for that project? Then it has no meaning. That's why I say we can schedule out, we can list out drawings, or we can list out also that so many specifications we have to write. We should know, I know what is this material, but how shall we use this material, or how shall we make this material, or how shall we install this material. All that must be known, and this should be checked in, checked out. We have to form a list of drawings, we have to form a list of methods, we have to form a list of, you can say, whatever it is. We have a plan for that. If we cannot do that, then this means we don't have clear concept of that project we are going to do. That project has to tell us what we have to do. So there's so many lists like that, list of drawing designs or design drawings, list of quantification, or list of what contact documents we require, and also what else we have. Means all sources that would be required on that must be known. And if we check on all this, we can say this is my job in this project. We have to deliver this project requirements one day, and design is also a part of that. As far as design is concerned, office work is concerned, we should know quantum of work, and that quantification can be worked out, or you can say the major design part or design volume is known. Of course, design takes time, coordination takes time, I don't say no. And you should also know how many personnel who have some attainment or they are educated well in profession, how many are required, and that point must be clearly understood in phase manner on these castles. That is point we can say we can concentrate on coordination scheme, or we can say we can decide our course of action, lines of actions, what we have to do and point of actions. There may be many lists of drawings depending on discipline. It happens in this world of construction, we can say long list of services, long list of architectural drawings, long list of structurals and others. All those must be charted out, and it's not that you are going to invent something. It's already there, titles are already there, and you have to name at every level or whatever your procedure to reflect your drawings onto project. That is very important part. And once you know that, then you have quantum of work you have. You can weigh yourself, how many designers do you need or how many draftspeople you need. You have to do that. In that case, this list itself becomes a program. This list becomes a program, and there can be later on charted out many programs from this list of vendors, list of, you can say, materials, quantities of materials, or likewise when do you need this material. All this you can extract information from available quantities, and that can give you idea what is your status on this project, how do you think that project is. And that's why I say coordination is very important aspect, and which is not clearly understood by many because of non-practice. It doesn't mean that they cannot do coordination. They can do very good coordination, but that degree of shying or hesitation that is earned already becomes a barricade it comes as a barricade into that exploration of coordination path. So it is very difficult for everyone to understand particular particular requirement of coordination in whatever parts of field. If we can understand that, we can find many solutions, because sometimes even these persons who adopt contracts or who enter into contracts or the organizations, they understand what is being done. Our poor guy shall not teach that. Our intellectual guy will teach only what is acceptable, what is required, and we have to produce practical engineers who talk of theory as well as practical requirements, practical mind. What we have to do, that must be known. Otherwise, we cannot say that we can move on coordination, because I say coordination is technical path, is technical string everywhere, and there are so many technical strings everywhere on every project. Design, it may be designing strings, it may be planning strings, it may be contract document formation, these things, or whatever else we can say. Those strings are combined together in a proper way, and that can result into formation of a network of coordination. A network of coordination means electric requirement is there, flow requirement is there, and that you can call it communication network. So coordination network is your own, communication network is your own, but you have to operate it. If you are able to operate communication network, coordination shall automatically function. That's also a foreview. But coordination is very important for work, because even designing this coordination system based on communication system, you have to do a lot of work on this itself. So this is the basics of information, but it has to be worked out properly, and that working out itself is called coordination, or you can say project basis coordination. It tells you what's the principles on this. You have to work out what are your requirements and what is our requirement, and this must be clearly described in a proper way. That's why you have to understand what is coordination, and coordination cannot be disregarded, it cannot be discarded. It has to be properly adopted, or you have to make a part of this your life. Coordination is a part of life. It cannot go otherwise. It has to do with this. You have to be a little practical in this aspect to know how coordination works. We have to be very clear about this, that it's not understood by many, but it is mandatory to understand it. And if you understand coordination, we can solve our many problems, and that's also true. And if we don't do that, we miss so much, we cannot answer. That missing is not permissible in engineering. Engineering is different world, and we cannot say engineering is over. So first of all, we have to solve this problem of absence of coordination and understanding. That's why I say coordination is not clearly understood by many professionals and others in its right required spirit, and this coordination starts from very initial stage of project scheme when it comes to mind itself. Forget construction at that time, it's a vision only. We have to think of, we have to design something, we have to concentrate on that initial requirement. And sometimes happens evolutionary, and sometimes unexpectedly. And unexpectedly is always a way, because when you say it happened to me unexpectedly, this means that came to your mind through some medium maybe which you did not know. But because you did not know it before, you got it now. There is some power that allows you to learn this, which we cannot understand, but logically it happens. That's why I say fact remains that without adequate and efficient coordination in a professional engineering work or professional engineering works, we cannot be successful otherwise if we accomplish them. Of course, we can say right to admit that coordination failure leads to engineering designs and construction failure. There's no doubt in that. We can say yes, it is a fact. If coordination fails, designs and construction fails. And it's also a fact that engineers in general, you can say, I'm saying many engineers, but many engineering disciplines engineers, many discipline engineers, issue of coordination remains very delicate, and such engineers try to avoid involving in coordination complexity, just expect someone else to take over that, or they just expect someone work on that and just give them information that they can do it, they can understand it. It's very important points made in this point. Issue of coordination remains very delicate, and such engineers try to avoid involving in coordination complexity and just expect someone else give them final drawings for work execution. And I have experienced that it's not from one country, it's from many countries whose engineers are not interested in this kind of work. They may be very attractive while conducting on site, running here and there and jumping and all that. Maybe that is demonstration or that's reality, I cannot say. Same way you can say coordination effects must be clearly understood, and if we do not understand them, we cannot understand profession, we cannot understand engineering. It should be clearly understood. There are so many issues that we can say, and therefore we can say we cannot count problems in numbers only, but it is gravity of situation that causes seriousness. That point we have to understand very clearly. Every time I say we have to understand, we should not mix up anything, not mix up anything. We can say coordination definition is for sure necessary to be grasped in, understood. Once we understand coordination from beginning itself, then automatically coordination asks person, you have to do this. Means you have taken rest, but when rest is required, you should do some. Only requirement shall not help. Coordination starts from very beginning and it continues until 4 or yes. We have to concentrate ourselves on this topic, it's a very important one. Every day I try to explain. I don't know, maybe it's not mathematical topic. Engineers may not take interest in that, they are interested in numericals. We can say coordination definition for sure necessary to be understood for its real meaning, so that nothing mixes it. That's why I say problems are not counted in numbers. Problems are not counted in numbers, but these are counted in gravity of situation, complexity of situation, and strong decision making related to whatever works items are involved in. There is always a chance of mixing, chance of mix-ups, chance of mix-up. Mixing means a state of confusion in work. A state of confusion meaning indicates that right activity related to work cannot be carried out at right time. That is very much required point here, right time. It should be available before time, much before time, because we have to understand it also, and if required, to deliberate it, which is best way, because there can be many methods for one activity, and that activity has to be deliberated. Mixing means a same state of confusion in work, and state of confusion states that right activity related to work cannot be carried out at a right time. In construction world, in particularly structure and buildings, construction no limitation on drawings and detailing access. Even for smaller building, we need many details. It's a fact. Structural categories of drawings, details means same, buildings are same. It's the image of building is same, or smaller building, not much difference. It depends on designing professional about how to apply drawings, in details, so that construction personnel should not refer back all times, every time, for either confirmation or clarification of various issues involved. We may say that, in fact, to explain every time, coordination can therefore be defined in a brilliant way, that all branches of engineering and all disciplines involved in ongoing activity are we can say coordination can therefore be defined in a way that all branches of engineering and all disciplines involved in ongoing activity must be clearly described and detailed in, so that no information is left out that could hold progress on activity or part of whatever activity. When we say actually provision of required information, if we don't have a competent level of coordinator in all branches of engineering, we also have that. Well, every information must be available, and if it's not available, we have to bring it from whatever source, and that bring in means verification. Coordination can therefore be defined in a way that all branches of engineering and all disciplines involved in an ongoing activity must be clearly described and detailed in so that no information is left out that could be or that could hold progress on activity and a part of whatever activity. It's very informative sentence if what well. We forward have to forward this to everyone. Right? Say even if one small information is held without having adequate details, we have to respect communication and we have to respect coordination if really we have to move forward. And if it's not done, we may not realize we make losses here. Losses if we can't do that. It's a very important point. If some work is held up, you know how much loss is there. That one work in all other conditions. Now we go to, it's also a fact that no subject or no branch of coordination engineering is available for impairing professional education. That's also true. We can say coordination engineering is an unlimited world. Unlimited world. It's to an extent unlimited that sometimes we don't know what's happening. To such an extent it is. We have to recognize that in professional way. It's still 14 degrees Celsius with 79% humidity is increased. 25 is telling day temperature and it's telling 13 degrees at night. 1.7 mm rain. So temperature has gone down to 14. It may further go down. So what I said, coordination engineering is an unlimited world. It can expand its vistas to unlimited areas involving many disciplines in one branch of engineering, and also importing various branches of engineering depending on what class of works are there. We have also seen an era of coordination activities when there used to be no electronic system. We have seen that. We have experience on that. But now situation is different. We have every facility. And we consider those facilities good one and we use them and it should be used. And there's no way that we cannot talk of that in this instance. That's a very important part. We have to talk about that. Else we miss a lot. Even in that era, works of coordination were very much time consuming due to the fact that even drawings used to be manually drafted or drawn. There was no other way out. No other way out we had. And that point we have to very well understand. We can say coordination engineer would have been appointed while let's say something else. It had to be appointed. Incumbent must be professional, have been experienced on considerable sites, and whoever was professional having just one engineering discipline knowledge could not be successful for efficient working on site. Now they say there's a software, this software, that software, but I cannot trust it. Yes, there may be software, it may give some information at design level probably, but that is not our problem. Our problem is work level. We have to do quality work designs. Even if designs are quality, work shall be quality. You cannot claim work is done on field or particularly we are talking civil engineering activities that are done in field, and we should have standards there. And we cannot expect this personnel, these illiterates to decide about what to be required to be done. That's what we have to say, that coordination engineering definition is a must. And we have to understand this very well. Such an helpful situation we got. In that case, we had to waste time, we had to spend time on coordination. And understanding of coordination is required. It's very important to understand what is coordination definition and respective descriptions. Respective descriptions make certain difference, we can say, on works. We cannot simply say coordination is a teamwork because team cannot coordinate. Yes, team can coordinate among team itself, but not for comprehensive technical requirement. Concentration is required in coordination. You can say requirement of coordination is concentration. And when we talk of concentration, it can become a requirement like single person requirement. At that decision making time, you cannot give two or more people because we have seen consequences. Its consequences not because of coordination, because of thinking about it. We have to move further. Now we have to see teamwork is important, but for decisions and implementations of decisions, we may say that members of project team are required to extend engineering support to engineering coordinator, without which coordination can be projects. No coordination activity will move otherwise. We are engineering professionals involved on every coordination, only for coordination. They can be coordinators. What's the problem here? Introduction is obvious, gone. Of course, we can say member is not required to extend engineering support to engineering coordinator. That's true. Without whose input, we cannot do anything. That's also true. That is required. That's very much required, and we have to think of that all time. That engineering support is a must. But how does it happen? Who does it, and how it's broken? That's also a point of view. That point of view is a must. Of course, members of the team are required to extend engineering support to engineering coordinator, without whose input no coordination activity world moves. Whereas engineering professional involved, we can say, on every coordination, every coordinator, without whose input, we can say nothing can happen, nothing can move. We may say has to involve personally on every provided information for purpose of corroborative support. We may say that corroborative support on every provided information for purpose of corroborative support, based on total scrutiny as well as necessary examination, investigation of details. Coordination is a never-ending activity, which therefore we can say coordination is a never-ending activity, which therefore cannot be considered time-fixed activity. We cannot say this for this time. We have to understand that point. Complexity of technicality of structures, resources, and we have to take into consideration all branches of engineering together, forcing attention from coordinating professional to look into requirements, quantity-related and industry-related. In fact, coordination at higher level of responsibility is always voluminous task, which is very important and also true in current engineering and advanced engineering project scenario, just depending on certain proclaimed, you can say. It's also true that current engineering and advanced project scenario, just depending on of certain proclaimed software, may not be absolutely assistive to automatically resolve details pertinent various conflicts among various disciplines, or therefore no blind eyes can be allowed to trust. No blind eyes can be allowed to trust outcome of various conflict details into physically workable solutions. As many items on various components of whatever project do not invite equivalent additional or augmentative level of coordination. So we have to consider all these points sincerely, safely. And that's very important point. It's not, you can say, not one or two points. A long way to think of, and so many points we have to discuss. And in fact, this is, we can say, unlimited and depends on every project, every activity. Many coordination routes are adopted. And let us say what it says. Let us consider the following point or activities, etc. in works to be carried out on sites or elsewhere, for we can classify these into certain classes, or can call them stage of project working. Such visualization of it is very important. It's a very important one, and we have many other ways, we can say in our way that all these are general and specific involvements, we can say. And for example, here we may say something like very important list, the list of relevant items to consider, although this is not exhaustive, and that is drawings included, notes on drawings, designs specifications, and you can say European or international standards. You may also say, and many more such. You can read this list, means whereas you can say so much is required, and there may be so many other requirements. You can say side diary. These are all involved that we have taken care of various terms, various documents we have gone through, and it is this aspect we have to consider. And moreover, we can say we come to facts of coordination and quality. So much is involved that you can say it's a kind of a specialization, separate specialization is very important. And we may also say here, say for example, we are talking here NCR. There's non-conformance report, a non-conformance report or non-conformity, which is very much part of quality, but it impacts on all others. It stops something at some point, you can say NCR, though it is a general term as well as a contractual term, also quality term, because we don't accept any non-conformance. Non-conformance is not accepted. It has to be brought to conformance level, which is a fact. We have to bring it to conformance level, and that level is, now we call, let us say, we include it in construction. We include NCR in construction because it's a document, construction related document, that addresses specification deviation. We can say we have caused some deviation, or you may call it a lapse, or we can call it defect, result of non-compliance, and therefore it fails to meet quality standards. You may say that NCR is a strong document to impact on work adversely. It determines resolutions also, means it's used to it's used in determining a resolution with a customer and documenting every corrective changes made. Let me see what's happening. Is it some? Just look at this. We can say that NCR is also used in determining a resolution with a customer and a document every corrective change is made. Work that has not been constructed per standard construction drawings, works that do not follow required tolerances per standard projects specifications, when actions are performed for non-approved methods or standards, when approved testing, when approved testing, we can say, when approved testing and inspections not performed, we can say, when test results do not meet recommended standards, we can say, when construction materials used is not accepted as a, we can say, as a substitute, when constructed design is not realistic, when project team identifies quality defects, we can say, when approved procedure was not followed, we can say. So these are certain points, a few points, as we say, that resolution decision, what for it is. You have to find a solution, means corrective changes. Because of what? Because of work has not been done per standards, or we did not follow required tolerances, or non-approved method has been done, method isn't followed, testing has not been done, inspection not performed, or results do not come in line to requirements, or material that has been used was not approved, or design is not realistic, or you can say project team identifies quality defects, an approved procedure was not followed. So these are so many. It's a question mark here. It's very, because it covers so much in this. NCR, in fact, to be very frank, on sites, if you have some defects for which we have already reached a method statement in agreement that if this happens, we shall abide by this procedure to repair it. We have already corrective method that can be complied with. But when it doesn't exist as such, this means we don't have a general way to bring back or to reach that substandard work to standard one, where NCR can be released, can be accepted. That you have to decide how to do this work back to requirement level, because you have done it negatively or substandard way, and that is where we can say something lies in, and that is, we can say, something happens badly or not required accordingly. And we can say NCR in that case is very important, because we have to find a solution, and if you don't find solution, NCR stands as a stopper to do further work on that, or as a limiter that this work is, or this part of work is not accepted, which means no payment can be made, and even if you do a work about that, all works payment would be stopped. Means your progress is considered zero from that point onwards, and that's why you can say it's a kind of stop, red signal, and you have to change it to green signal, for which you have to give in a procedure. How would you do that? and that procedure should also be approved one. That NCR is therefore a kind of very powerful stop agreement, stop movement, and we can there onwards say you have to use certain instrument on that. That instrument is your NCR is issued in legal terms and you have or contractual terms, and you have to convert it to null and void state. This NCR should be closed, and this gap between opening of NCR and closure of NCR is corrective gap, correction gap. You have to apply correction, and apply means first you have to devise proposal, and then proposal must be accepted or approved. It must be complied with by execution, and inspection be conducted, and once it's agreed for acceptance, and that stage you can say it is per specifications, per compliance, and we have to move accordingly. This means you have wasted a lot time, you wasted money on correction, and you have also created an NCR record which goes against a spirit of contract, and this is very important. NCR should not be created. If it is created means there is somewhere lapse on part of person performing it. It may be contractor or whosoever, or even engineer perform on that. This point we have to clearly understand. And we talk of red line documents or records. Red line documents is also, it is occasional, it's casual, it's fitness, or you may say it is design change, or it is some conflict resolution, or you may say some change on original contract documents. Red lines which defects a fact. There are some defects on contract documents or on designs that we cannot move from that point onward, because if we move onwards, defects would be there permanently located, and we cannot see defects within permanent works. It is defect that stopped us, or you can say it's a kind of instant speed breaker until we level that breaker or we bring it to a shape that we can move forward with precautionary measures. But red line must be cleared before we move forward, and that's why when we find some red lines due to whatever reason of details clashes or conflicts or design impropriety, we have to correct first that one by clarifications or by understanding what it says, what does it mean, or what it should be, and we have to reach a solution, technical solution, without cost, impact, or cost variations, we can say that. And once contract parties agree on that this is our charted out way, that is recorded on documents in forms of red lines, that these red lines we clear, and now it is solution red line. This is a markup that we cleared this, and wherever we cleared this, at that point we have to replace it on that original red line statements, or we have to in place there as additional solution, whatever it is. So red line documents or records which details are marked up red, which details are marked in red when certain changes or approved IFC details, IFC means issued for construction details, are agreed to be effected on site, for site requirements. If such changes are not effected, work or activity involves could be work or activity involved could be jeopardized from its operational viewpoint. Such changes do not contravene any contract provision but support successful performance of involved activity. Such changes, of course, do not involve any cost variation. Such changes can be effected on whatever IFC documents, including specifications, drawings, details, and its record for approval, could be made on site technical queries form also. As-built documents or drawings, as-built documents or drawings are formal records. As-built documents or drawings are formal records, pertinent red lines onto contract documents. Details for purpose of including with contract dossiers in form of as-built. Term red line is thereafter converted to as-built status for future maintenance or operational use forever. Then project dossiers. Project dossiers is very important terminology, though it's related to some crime in life, but here we use as documents. Though this is project records, you may say, rather than dossiers, but we write dossiers. It is project working records, you may say. Project, you can say, conversions of contract records to worked records. Worked records, but we have worked actually, it's that one. And this means actually for every project, which you can call project in contractual terms, where volume is involved and maintenance is also involved, and which relates to some continuation of operations. In fact, where maintenance is required, effects are required, risks are required, or you can say particularly in processing plants or in important buildings, where future maintenance is kept into view, or you can say industrial units, so whatever you may say. Heavy works, powerful works, plants works, good buildings, where people are involved in ensuring that adequacy of project is continued, structural adequacy, other adequacies, fitness of structure continue. We have to keep such documents there, permanent documents for purpose of use by operational people. At that time we cannot say that this is project documents, but it is that operational document, authority document, which will be used in future for purpose of services maintenance. These may be called like record drawings, or you can say as-built drawings, as-built how it is. All these project dossiers become records, permanent records, as-built records, and this dictate how to maintain, how to find defects, because all information is available, and it makes life of those people who operate this project easy from point of view of maintenance, from point of view of serviceability, and from point of view of review if required. And if suppose there are certain issues involved on that project, contents, project components, these documents can be referred to. That's very important one, and these are volumes of documents, but once we have soft copies available, nobody goes to back to soft copies can be referred to. Soft copies give better chance now, instead of keeping a full records room of documents, we can have these record digital rooms, digital rooms for that purpose. It's a very important point we have to keep in mind. Apart from all engineering branches, that preservation of all such record is must. And because it's permanent record, whatever you record on project construction site, construction level area, whatever record means you are going to record something that will be read for years, and people may comment on that who use them. So we should be very careful in recording such documents. It's not site diary, it's permanent record. It's not technical query, it's permanent record. That's what I'm saying. It may be referred to by many people, innumerable people, experts too. Therefore, it's a question of how do you enter that record, how do you work on that record. That is important point here, and we should understand that clearly in a professional way. Otherwise, you know what happens. We don't have track to move. Then we have many other parts like technical queries, you may say technical queries, and let me go through this. Let's say what we say technical query there is, and site work queries there is, and proposals of technical resolutions, documentation appraisals. We have construction ability check. We have reference of technical documents. We have, and we have engineering meetings. We have all we have discussed, but deliberation is important. Construction method statements we have, and then we can say coordinate, and we have a lot activities, and we have what we can say into that. Means in buildings, my intention is for this writing to we cannot simply superficially speak about this. We have to speak in some details, some detailed forms, which are rather more important than something else. We cannot simply depend on something. We have to think about all this in a professional way, in a perfect way rather, we can say, in a way that depends on reality and depends on, for example, there's a list here. Let's say many documents can be used and are used for many projects, such as indicated below, but more if so required can be added, whereas many or most people associate criteria for works with drawings and specifications. Although these are likely to be most significant sources of information, nevertheless there are others, and it's important to consider all such documents. Drawings and specifications often refer to require compliance with other documentation, that is namely it is a specification for concrete may refer to national structural concrete specifications. We may say therefore following may be a list of relevant items to consider. Although this is not exhaustive, there may be drawings or designs specifications or standards in international, national, and concrete specifications, manufacturers' requirements, contract requirements, planning conditions, building controls, national housing building, or whatever it is, workshops, various others, you can say. These can be considered useful for various purposes, and also there is no one, you can say, there is no one, no two. It's a kind of refreshing, it's again refreshed that conducting multidisciplinary coordination from involved branches of various engineering that must be, depending on project nature, shall always be must for final detailing out engineering solutions, and not just working on isolated solutions for each discipline. And such requirement is often missed by many juniors or budding engineers or budding professionals due to lack of project experience But once one gets itself certain project delivered, then considerable lot learning is trained, and learning is important rather than, and unfortunate it is that we don't have any academic learning on this. It's not practically possible. It's possible if we are well, we can go to sites, we can, but it takes time. Who has time? Question is time factor. And we have, let us see what it says. I'm trying to say such activities, entitlement can be described in its heading form as such, which may be indexed in entitlement. Let's say that project planning, explanations of planning classes. Very beginning I discussed with that entire design involving all disciplines, pertinent all branches of job, including engineering whatsoever. Detailed designing per project functional requirements for purpose of future, for further documentation that may be required for meeting objectives of formation of formal contracts or working documents, quantification leading to various bills of quantities, preparations, specification preparation, which could be general as well as project related specifically, particularly as well manufacturers related procedures, processing comprehensively package of bidding documents, shortlisting possible project related experience bidders, processing entire bidding, leading to selection of contractors after having conducted thorough scrutiny of received bid documents passed through professional competition, furthering, if required, conducting negotiations based on value added bids, and also received an alternative bid, formal declaration of appointment of contractor, which could be either in construction status or in EPC status depending on requirements. And this actually full pre-construction of project execution says this paragraph contents give fulfill pre-construction of project execution, I can say pre-construction organizational work, which are of course very cumbersome since all involved activities are office oriented, but import heavy requirement of professional working experience and professional programmatism for a successful impending contract documentation based on bid documentation. And for show these aforesaid included works activities amount to involvement of engineering and coordination on equal basis, because if one is missed, others shall also miss, which critically must be considered seriously for smooth, for reliable documentation, for reliable working or execution of project works. It's again refreshed that conducting multidisciplinary coordination from involved branches of various engineering that must be depending on project nature shall always be must for final detailing out engineering solutions and not just working on isolated solutions for each discipline. And that's why we have to consider all this in letters in this. And what's the basic requirement actually that we need to understand? First of all, though I talked a lot yet, but until we have a basic concept in us, that's what we say. Without visualization of idea to be converted into useful permanent work, and that's very basic calculation which can be considered initiative at initial stage. Technical, it's involved in that entire scope, carrying out worker side all works and testing and commissioning for converting project into operational unit or occupation unit. And then start of a facility or occupation of a building, and then we can say what it says if you start with now foregoing briefest points are required to be exploded into word of explanation in various heads and subheads. It's all part of communication and coordination, you can say, working out comprehensive designs of project in each and every respect. Designs include architectural details, structural details, services details, internal external landscape and utilities, preparation of working out designs for running relevant details in all disciplines also required for various legal purposes, Composition of formation of documents package for purpose of either charting out calls for bidding, invitation of for self-doing these works. Preparation of bills of quantities, BOQs we call it, for each discipline is very much necessary once all designs are finally available, and accuracy at this stage must help in starting various controls on scheme of project. Preparations of all required documents to be included on bids for allowing construction experts to work out respective prices to implement project to a successful delivery. Among about structural part of documents and finishes part of architecture as well as other activities dominate cost factors that can be marginalized for POQ and decided required and demands and specifications percent all disciplines involved, and drawing specifications are very serious issue for it relates to each and every activity. This drawing specification is a very serious issue for it relates to each and every activity to be included on project, and specification documentation is an extremely difficult technical and engineering requirement which only an experienced professional in certain particular topic of subject shall only be able to write successfully. And this is a very important issue because copying and paste system never works in writing specifications. Yes, in case certain specification lists are available in form of general specifications with some organizations for general activities, that wealth could be used for such general documentation. Otherwise, each and every specific item to be included on works requires drawing detailed specifications. So you may say there would be a requirement of various chapters of specifications for all sections of works, and if it's related to parts of each POQ, that document shall be assistive. Documents for such subdisciplines must be charted out for typical rotations as well as for specification specific items in a reliable professional way for it impacts upon cost. And we can say indeed aforesaid expressive heads amount to voluminous works quantum, but it's necessary for every control on construction, time, duration required, cost necessary, and standard of quality requirements which would be dominated by sort of specification to be included. And that's why these are important point here. Here specification is very important issue, very important issue, and that must be taken care of in a very particular way. It's very important item on projects. If specifications are not clear, how can we expect the work to be done in a proper way? And it is not just the drawing specification. An engineer who works on site must know what specification is applicable, and not just site engineer, whoever supervise, whoever check quality, and all workers on site who are involved in this must know what are specifications. Very important point it is to be known. Okay, we will we have to take into consideration all these points very effectively. And I would say, as I said in this, coordination, I'm not limited to this coordination, there's a long way to go, but because we are staying with something stage by stage, procedures are important, and also we can say explanation of procedures is important. Also quality is important, and coordination is important, everything is important in this way, and we can say that here. As I said, communication support is very important. I'm trying to establish that one. Communication of many projects, as I said, many projects are involved, so much is involved in this. We cannot just take out, for example, you can see this area here is a processing plant, and it is not isolated. Some water containing body, retention body, water retaining body, and it's not that you have to stick on this, but we have to see how does it work, how it should be. In this case, you can say, though it looks very small area, but it's not small, it's very powerful. You can see here, this portion is, this portion is called processing plant. This process is support one, you may say. This is actually, if you consider this area, if you consider this area, if you consider this area, or you consider this area and this area, this complete is particularly this area where heavy powerful equipment function from, and there may be so much involved here that we cannot run away from process. And this is of course offsites, something like that, where remote controls, you may say, and of course supports like these tanks, for example, this is a substation, electrical substation. This is also a substation. This is some other building. There is also one unit here somewhere that is very small, maybe, that is called central control building. And there's maybe some warehouse here. Likewise, some other 2 or 3 plants are mixed up. This is called lagoon, water lagoon, and this is a water body. It's also air water body, which is called, you can say, outfall chamber, from where water goes out to be finally disposed. Likewise, here you see, if you go this angle, it's not seen in this, it is administrative area, warehousing area. So there are, you can say, so many machines are involved, so many vessels are involved. This means so many processing units are involved. For example, here is, this is compressor body. There are 2 compressors here. This is cracking gas compressor here, big one, and this is, you can see, ethane compressor and propane compressor. This crack gas compressor here. There is, wash water structure, and there's cracking furnaces, and likewise, and there are so much piping, or so many other units are involved, very minor units. For example, these are tanks also here, different types of tanks. Very, very small unit looking on this image, but these are not small, very big. And you can say even size of this cooling water system. It's cooling water tank that you can see here. I think it's shown somewhere here, actually. Yes, it is this one. You can see it's approximately 100 meters, say, and 50 meters, say, like 150 meters, I think, this way. Quite big, and so many pump house here, and so many controls here. You can see this is like that. We cannot take them just for purpose of because we don't want to see. It depends on requirements. As I said, it depends on requirement, and this requirement cannot go blank. It has to be contained properly, and that's our point of view. And that's, for example, this is a school building, a preparatory school building for boys, and This is also, as I said before, this is major building. For entry, you enter here and you enter here. This is administration part of this building, office part of school, while this is assembly hall, means big area and support of assembly hall here. And here is workshop for this building. This is support of this hall itself, open, and here is common area for all, though it is shaded one, but for prayer, for example, it is. And there are classrooms, double story to half story, or 3 stories combination. Same way here, that it is heightened, and here is education area also, you may say. This one also education area, laboratories, classes, workshops, and it's a building for prayer. It's called mosque. Externally, you can see there is substation building here, gatehouse and substation building. One is gatehouse and one is substation building here. You can see this is open. You can see here a transformer. If you can see that transformer opening cut out in slab, and this is switchgear room here. Switchgear room, this transformer, and so gatehouse here, and there are some other minor structures and services. And you can see here circulation. This is entry from this end. Entry goes circulation, and then you can see coming here and not others not seen here. And the all soft landscape, and you can see here is kind of complete circulation. And that's what you say. Parking possibly here. These are parking. Maybe there's also some park wherever carriages go. There is this is timber pergola here. You can see this timber pergola, and also there's some flag ceremony was to be conducted here. Likewise, you can say, like means we have to understand these details that's required for. Same way, it's another building also. Likewise, we may not go avoid this, but these are important one. Okay, taken there. Asal biar. Untuk pergi ke rumah saya. How can you take that one? You can take that one like this. Well, sometimes we have to take these points into considerations. These points into this is a shooting range. Shooting range here is also very important. Here, 330 meters range. 330 meters, you can imagine. Other part of that process plant is here, that was process plant below, and this another part, which is administration building, is called administration area, and this is warehouse area here, warehousing area, and this amenities building as well. And you can see here is this is amenities building, This is warehousing and here, and there's some fire tendering here also somewhere here. We don't know where, it's not seen here. Maybe small. Oh, these are maybe that one somewhere. And other structures as well. These are all car parks, you can say, car parking areas in the administration building. Polycarbonate car parking areas, sheds. And this is a mosque, I think. It's maybe a mosque. Yes, that's a mosque here. Emirates building a mosque. And likewise, you can say this cracking. This is cracking furnaces. Cracking furnaces. These are cracking furnaces here, you may say. And of course here is something we can say. This is also one of that, portion of that. Ethylene cracking plant, part of that one. We have to understand this, it's no joke. We have to be clear about this, that it's no joke. There is something that we have to take into considerations, and really it's important one to understand that. We cannot take something far because we want to take it. We have to understand that clearly, and that's very important part in life. We have to understand that, and that understanding is important, very important. Now, I'd like to say something about that. You see, is another page. You can see this is one building. You can see there's a cover of book. In fact, this is a cover of book. You may say this. This is a cover of book. it's now very important to understand from that point of view. It's the cover of a book, you can say. It's the cover of a book, very important one. That point of view. Because of it's a kind of you can say initial work of something that we have to do. It's not final work, but it has to be related to communication and coordination practices. And that's what I say is very important part in life. You have to understand that as well in every respect, every aspect, every way. You have to understand that one. It's really, you can say, a kind of something we cannot eliminate. We have to understand. Now I leave it here because we have to move forward. We have to move forward in different fashion. We have to go forward and understand what we have to do. Now I take your leave with the view that you will like it, or you may understand value of coordination, communication. It's a part of life. I hope you got it, enjoyed it. Thank you very much.